Hey yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're checking out the brand new releases from Belphegor and Krisiun. So, Mortem Solus was the album released today by Krisiun, and The Devils by Belphegor. Straight out the gate, I don't think either of us are really that familiar with either of these bands. I'm more familiar with Belphegor. I've tried getting into them before. I found that they're pretty average as far as their sound goes. Krisiun, never really listened to before, so this was kind of a cherry popper for me. I started my day off with The Devils, right? So I listened to this album a few times, and it's like, it's hard to put into words really what I thought. Like, as a metalhead, I really liked what I heard. It's just, this is metal. It's black metal, it's satanic, it's evil sounding. It's got a lot of the elements you come to love about this kind of genre of metal, the type of sound they evoke. But nothing was really screaming out at me, which happens from time to time, but that doesn't mean it's bad. I noticed that there was some good diversity in the sound, which we like to talk about. Some slower tempos, some very brooding stuff, mixed with some faster, more aggressive stuff. Some pretty cool guitar stuff. There's a really cool guitar solo in Kingdom of Cold Flesh, which is track number 6. That stood out to me. I also don't know about these track listings, because some of them, like track number 2, for example, it says Totentans, and then there's a hyphen, and then Dance Macabre. I don't know if that's
like a translation
or if that's the full name of the song. Yeah, a few songs are like that, but some aren't. So, but the ones that stood out to me are track number 3 and track number 6. So track number 3, I'm not even gonna try to say the name. It looks like Glorifying the Truffles, written in another language, written in German or something. But that's what I see when I look at it, when I glance at it, Glorifying the Truffles. So that's just what I'm gonna call this song. But it's one of the ones with this slow, brooding tempo and really kind of has a really good atmospheric mood to it. Overall, though, it was okay. It was okay. On my first couple listens, where I was like kind of trying to find things to talk about, I was struggling with that.
Well, I too started my day with The Devils as well, and track 3 I also liked a lot, and my main note about it is that it switches up the pace, and I think that this album does a good job at maintaining that pace and managing it. It does a really good job at going back and forth between a lot of the harder, heavy-hitting stuff and the slower, more brooding and more melodic kind of stuff. And I like that quite a bit. I was a little bit worried within the first track or two, because I don't have much experience with either of these bands. Belphegor and Krisiun I knew by name, but I didn't know much of their sound. So going into them, I'm like, well, I don't really have too many expectations, right? After the first 2 tracks of this album, though, I was thinking to myself, well, it's good so far, but I hope it switches up its pace. And my third track, I thought, oh yes, very nice, switch up the pace. Track 4, a good example of that pacing management, hits like a truck, and I like that. It has that contrast there. Mm-hmm. I also really like the texture that this album kind of brings, that there's a lot going on. They sprinkle a lot of things here and there, but it's a very broad, wide, and open texture that you kind of hear sonically with this album. There's a lot of things going on, and there's a density to it, but it doesn't feel cramped. It feels quite open, and I think the brooding stuff is probably a good contributor to that, because you got this kind of wide open sound, but you also have the space being filled at the same time. Track 7, the names were, I didn't even want to try the names, I just named them by the track number, but that one has nasty main riff, and it kind of gives you like that angry face, kind of just, kind of just scrunched up angry looking face, of a headbanger, I guess, as you could say, and just when I was listening to it, just thought, oh yeah, this is nasty, love this. The last track of the entire album, Black as Sabbath 1997, is a cool track, but it's a bonus track, so can't really consider that as part of looking into it, because we don't count bonus tracks. So Creature of Fire being the album closer, I think it's pretty nice, fitting for the tone of the album, just very dark, very, very, feels like you're really kind of just laying it to rest after such, an interesting album. So I like it quite a bit. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. So what did you think of Mortem Solus by Krisiun?
So this album, again, I feel quite similarly. I put it on, I enjoyed it. It's metal, it sounds awesome. It's got, the elements are there for me to enjoy it. But like the Belphegor album, I had trouble thinking of things or noticing things that made me think, wow, this is really good, or wow, this stands out, or I need to add this to a playlist, or anything. Like, nothing really screamed out at me, which is, again, problematic as a critic, like as somebody that's trying to look for things, but it doesn't make it bad music. It's still enjoyable. You can put it on and have fun with it. But as I'm listening to the album, it's struggling to find things to say. Like, I got basically no notes for this album. There's one thing that stood out kind of glaringly weird to me, and that's track number 6, Dawn, Sun, Carnage, and in brackets, intro. Why is track number 6 say intro? That was weird, and it's like an interlude kind of thing.
Makes you think maybe they put it in the wrong spot.
It's either in the wrong spot or it's the intro to track number 7, Temple of the Abattoir, which could be, but I've never really seen that before. I think that's a weird creative choice or a mistake. Either way, it stood out to me like a sore thumb, and it's weird. Highlight tracks, Serpent Messiah kept, every time that song came on, I listened to the album like 3 or 4 times. Every time that song came on, I looked at my phone and I went, oh, Serpent Messiah again. So that's a highlight track. War Bloodhammer was also pretty cool. That's near the end of the album. And Necronomical was another one. So basically a track near the beginning, a track near the middle, and a track near the end. All 3 of those were standing out to me, which kind of tells me this album's probably got a pretty good contour to it, right? So overall, I did enjoy it, but I really don't know what else to say about it at this point.
Well, I'm in a bit of a similar boat to you for this album, as I could not say too much, but to a different degree. I kind of felt that the first half of this album kind of just felt like one thing happening, and I'm not even kidding. When I put the album on, like, first track, it took me a little bit to think, like, wait a minute, what is happening here? What's going on? Like, I felt like there was a density to it that was just a little bit hard to navigate at first. Like, thinking, like, what is happening in this song? There's just too much going on. Everyone feels like they're playing their own song, and they threw them all together. And I thought that was really weird. But as it went on, closer and closer to the second half, I started to hear more variety in it, and that would make the crazy sounding songs a lot more unique that way, and I think it should be organized as such. But Necronomical and Temple of the Abattoir were the 2 main ones that really stood out to me as the best, especially because Necronomical is the first one that breaks up that pace.
It is.
And it does change things, and I like that it's, sounded a little bit more standard to that degree, because the first few tracks I'm thinking, like, what is this album trying to present to me? Like, I didn't think that this band was a kind of like noise band or whatever, like compared to like a band like Frontier, which is like kind of a crazy wall of sound band. So even though I didn't know much about this band before, I only really knew them by name, I didn't know what to expect. So I got these first 2 tracks, I'm like, what is going on? But as I went through, I started to kind of get it more, but there just wasn't much for me to say. I'm just like, okay, well, this is fine, it's a fine album. I didn't like it as much as I liked Belphegor, but I don't dislike it. I think it's good. It's just, it was a bit confusing at first, I guess, especially because it was like my very first impression of this band entirely.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But yeah, so we got to review one of these albums throughout the week, and we didn't know which one to pick, so we put up a poll earlier today, and the poll's been live since earlier when we posted it around noontime, I think. So we're gonna check.
We're gonna take a look right now. We're gonna see who won this poll as voted by you. So the winner, in a fairly close one, is The Devils by Belphegor, with a score of 59% to 41.
That's pretty close. So yeah, we'll review The Devils throughout the week. And as always when we're reviewing albums, I hope that we can find stuff that's unique, that's special, that makes this album stand out amongst other albums similar in its genre or just overall. So we can come back next week and tell you guys a bunch of really cool stuff about it and hopefully give it really good scores. But that's it for this video, guys. So leave your comments down below. Let us know what you guys think of these 2 albums. Obviously, most of you, by a margin, a very small margin, liked Belphegor better than Krisiun, but just comment down below and let us know what you guys think. That's it for this video. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I'm Vile Self.
I'm TV Fish.
I'll see you guys in the next one.